The barracks were built at about the same time that the hospital was built, but the hospital was done first. And there was a national news that a soldier's home was being built, and a lot of men from the Civil War and the Spanish-American War caught the train to come to Johnson City before the place was actually open. And it caused a problem in downtown Johnson City. And the city fathers came out and talked to the superintendent of the home and said, can you do something about it, because these guys are all over town, they got no place to stay, and some of them are getting drunk and causing problems. And so they slept on some of the wards before the hospital. Hospital was done but not open. And so they were allowed to sleep in the wards until they got the barracks open. And then when the barracks opened, the flood began. They came on trains from everywhere to get admitted to the barracks. The barracks held about 125 men per barrack, and they were organized in military companies. They had a building captain, a building sergeant, and a detail sergeant. And these were all early on, these were all residents of the Dom. They didn't have civilian employees at the time. And the detail sergeant was responsible for making sure that every man in the building had a job. For others, it was cleaning the bathrooms, mopping and polishing the hallways, cleaning windows, anything to maintain the building in a satisfactory manner. Around 1940, maybe just a little bit before, they began to hire civilians to manage the different buildings, and they were called domiciliary assistants. And they took over for the patient, who was called the building captain. And everybody that worked in the buildings as building captains and building sergeants had to step down, and the civilian took over. And they still had a detail sergeant, though, to keep everybody busy. Dom assistants, when they were hired, were responsible for making sure that the men kept clean hygiene personally, making sure that laundry was done, that they had clean sheets and blankets and that sort of thing. And inspections were done once a week of each man's bedside and his locker to make sure that it adhered to policy. That went on until the barracks were closed in 2003, I think, and they moved into the new domiciliary, which is connected to the hospital by a tunnel. And then the barracks slowly became the med school and all of its different departments. If you didn't get your chores done, there were different levels of punishment. You could be restricted to the building for up to 30 days, anywhere from 1 day to 30 days. And if it were something other than not doing your chores, if you got in a fight, if you came in drunk, something like that, you could be restricted to the station for up to 90 days. Or if it was a severe kind of incident where maybe injuries were happened during a fight or something like that, you could be given enforced furlough, which meant that you couldn't come back on station for 90 days. You had to find a place in the community until your 90 days was up to give you the message that they wouldn't tolerate violence.